What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in effect. Purple State Party, repping America, the center, and common sense. And this one goes out to everybody who's keeping it funky. Especially punk group Oxymorons. 2 R's, not one. Look them up. It's worth listening. So anyhow, speaking of musicians, I found myself siding with Cardi B. Now, I'm not a fan of Cardi B. Whatever. Not going to get into that. But anyhow, she put out a tweet talking about, damn it, things are getting expensive. She gets a financial report, and she sees what things are costing. So she posts this on Twitter. And of course, you know, the attack defense bots all come out and start telling her to shut the fuck up. Because what does she know about inflation? You know, if a guy is walking in the rain carrying an umbrella and he says, it's raining, do you say, shut the fuck up, you've got an umbrella, what do you know about rain? No, she knows about inflation. Rich people know about inflation. But what are they doing about it? Are they rebelling? Are they those who have the ear of politicians? Are they rising up and saying, hey, we got to do something about this? Are they pointing out some of the slippery slopes that we put ourselves on that have led to these high costs? We're going to talk about eggs later. Eggs. We're talking about Cardi B and eggs today, I guess. Wow. What a week that was. You know? It doesn't matter what your position in life is. If you have a voice, use it responsibly. Pointing out that there's inflation and nobody seems to be doing anything about it, you know, that's worthy. And that's why I bring it up, because it doesn't matter if you're on my side, against my side, if I like you, if I hate you. If you speak the truth, you speak the truth. That's what Purple State is all about. Listening to the truth no matter where it comes from. Truth is truth, folks. Remember that. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. They said, what? I just like looking up the crazy stuff that comes out of people's mouths. Like Nancy Pelosi here. Now we can proceed with the people's work. What people's work? You're not doing anything other than going after Trump and creating policies that are detrimental to America. So I'm not really sure whose work you're proceeding with. And the people of San Francisco did not trust you. They just vote for you because you have a D next to your name and they knew who you were. That's it, because quite frankly, San Francisco is really the epitome of the crumbling of America right now. Taking something that has the money and the resources to be a beautiful city and turning it into a garbage dump. White House press secretary blames the GOP, claims President Biden worked on border security since day one. Day one. Yeah, on day one, he signed an executive order regarding the southern border, which was to stop the construction of the wall, which was at least would make it harder for people to just run across the border. But at the least, it was a signal saying, these are my policies. I'm not going to build the wall. And look what's happened. We've taken on somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 million people. Of course, we don't know how many people we've taken on. I mean, that's the beauty of the border. We don't really know. We only know how many we caught and processed and released into America. That's fine, man. You wanted to reform immigration, make it easier? That's great. Go for that. Get people on paper and bring them here. Figure out where they're going to be. But there's been no plan. Literally no plan. And as we've seen before, when all of these migrants are coming into the country, resources are strained, and the criminals, the cartels, take advantage of that. And what has happened lately? Well, we saw the Mexican government arrest the son of El Chapo, and the cartels literally took the city hostage and shot it up. That's what we have at our southern border. Border security is more than just keeping people out. It's about keeping drugs out, and it's certainly about fighting back against these cartels. These cartels do not launch attacks into our country as such, but they should be branded as terrorist groups. They are paramilitary groups that are armed like a military, and they send drugs into our country hidden within other drugs, knowing that it's eventually going to kill people. And last year, 100,000 people died of overdoses. And how many of those were accidental or they ingested fentanyl without knowing? Well, again, that's the beauty of the southern border. Nobody really knows for sure. This was a great one. I couldn't believe I saw this on Yahoo. What did releasing Trump's tax returns accomplish? The result is still unsatisfying. I can't figure out what people wanted out of these tax returns. You're not going to put any sort of criminal activity into your tax reports, okay? That's why there's a thing called money laundering. People aren't going to put that they financed $100 million in cocaine. They're going to put it down as something else. Profits from a dry cleaning business. They're not going to put down profits from drug dealing, profits from selling secrets to Russia. They don't do that. Anybody who thought that they were going to find anything in his tax returns, I don't know why you would be sorely disappointed, but you're a dummy if you thought something was going to be there. We've been ignored. Democrat-led cities beg Biden for help with migrants. Seriously, it's your party's policies that have allowed this. Your party worked hard to figure out ways of letting people just come into the country and stay. That's the truth. But now, Colorado is sending migrants. I don't really understand how Colorado ended up being strained with all of these migrants. That would have been one of those. There's North Dakota and other places that you would think, they're even less likely, but Colorado. So they started sending migrants from Colorado to New York and Chicago. On Wednesday, Adams continued to criticize Democratic state leaders for sending migrants to his city. It's the Democratic president who's doing nothing about this. He's finally going to go down to Mexico to talk about it, to talk to them about it. But it's not really Mexico's problem, is it? The numbers coming from Mexico are dwarfed by the numbers coming from other countries, okay, around the world. People just come to the southern border now. They fly to Mexico and they walk on up, or in some cases even drive on up. Adams. One time we had to deal with Republican governors sending migrants to New York. Now we're dealing with Democrat governors sending migrants to New York. Well, yeah, but you're the one who said you were a welcoming city, right? So they look around and they go, oh, well, who said they wanted migrants? But now you can't handle it. Well, what about the towns at the border? Oh, well, they're in a red state, so that doesn't count. Oh, okay. All right. The White House won't commit $1 billion to border city, New York, after Eric Adams' pleas. Yeah. They're not coming, as you can see from that photo, they're not just coming from Mexico. They're coming from all around. And the problem that we're going to have here is that we're not taking in people who have their own money or have their own means to support themselves or places to stay when they get here. We're taking in the poorest. And that's fine. That's what America stands for. But when we're taking them in such a chaotic fashion, it can't end well. And meanwhile, cities like all of the ones along the border, but even Chicago and New York are feeling the strain. First, we have to help our people. Then we can help other people. It's ridiculous how we went from prioritizing America to prioritizing anybody but America. And that doesn't end well. We talk about some big numbers, but we have 2.76 million migrants we're seeing entering the southern border. Seen. But the Big Apple has become a border city after record-breaking illegal border crossings. That's what it is. That's what it is. It is exactly that. Record-breaking illegal border crossings. Those are not records we need to be breaking, folks. It does not get us anything. It's helping those people and it's helping those countries. But the reality is, as those people come here, their governments, wherever they're leaving, Nicaragua, Haiti, whatever, now can take the money that they're saving on these people and put it into suppressing the opposition to their rule, which has led to this. It's a vicious cycle, and we don't really help anybody by simply taking in these floods of people. We really don't. We just exacerbate the situation. We make it that snake eating its tail. That's what we do. Those are why we have to avoid things like slippery slopes. We have to look at the consequences, the long-term consequences, before we start proceeding so haphazardly with these dumb ideas. Progressing is not progressing when you're going down the wrong path. Here's another one that they actually had to put out, but the Biden administration quietly admits canceling Keystone Pipeline cost thousands of jobs and billions of dollars. This is a mandated report that they were supposed to put out. That's what they were supposed to do. What did your first day executive action cost us? Well, 59,000 jobs and an economic impact up to $9.6 billion. But they delayed this. They did not make a public announcement. They hid it. That's my problem with this. I don't care who's in party and does this. Okay? You did this. What are the consequences? We need to know. We need to demand it. We need to stop being an ignorant population that simply takes headlines that are spoon-fed to us by these defense droids. We need to read. We need to seek out all different sides. And when you do and you find out that's what Keystone cost, it would have been done. But he did it. Immediately after taking office, he did it. And like the state senator from Montana, who was greatly affected by all this, the administration continues to pursue energy production anywhere but the United States. Cost good paying jobs. The first step in Biden's administration's war on oil and gas. These are the things that are affecting us right now. Remember, one part of inflation is the fact that rising gas costs, means everything costs more to ship to your store. So it's going to be more. It's not a lot of oil, and that's what the defense droids will tell you. But again, it was a signal. It was a signal to where the administration stood. And yeah, we could use those 800,000 barrels. We could put those back into our reserves now that Biden's blown our reserves. We could be sending that overseas. We could be doing things with that. But we're not going to be able to. See, that's the problem. We're not going to be able to because he canceled it because that's his agenda. Our agenda, lower gas prices. His agenda, kill the gas industry. Speak of slippery slopes all the time, and this is one of them. The overtime law was supposed to help these California workers. Many make less money now. Essentially, they were forcing agricultural companies to pay overtime. So they cut hours to make sure overtime wasn't a factor. They do other things to do that. We'll get into that in a second here, but we're going to look at this guy, Mendoza. He has to travel an hour to get to his job pruning fruit trees. He said over the past 2 years, his weekly take-home pay dropped from $1,000 to around $600 ever since his hours were slashed from 60 hours a week to 40 hours per week. See, we need to face things with a dose of reality. You raise the minimum wage for a McDonald's employee, that makes McDonald's more likely to bring in machines and say, look, public opinion versus dollar bills. I'm going with the dollar bills. That's what we push people into when we vote for these things without thinking of the actual realistic consequences. Doesn't matter that they make lots of money, but look what they're right here. They've prompted growers to cut hours, reduce acreage to accommodate crew sizes, or they hire just more workers, less money per worker. You can complete the harvest. They're turning towards automation and mechanization, or they're switching to less labor-intensive crops. So what does that do? That's going to drive the prices up. These things sound good on paper, but in reality, it just costs us more money. Yeah, so apparently we had some shit with the Speaker of the House, like 16 votes, something like that. You know, I try to follow different stories than maybe the mainstream. So I didn't really care. I don't really care who's the Speaker of the House, okay? It's not Pelosi. I'm happy with that. I'll walk away with whoever it is. But this Republican infighting, man, they're summing up politics, these two groups. The Republicans squabble between the right and the left. The far right and more towards the middle. And that's a good thing. I commend them for that. You should fight against some of these idiotic Republicans that are out there. But the problem is that they're just playing the Democrats' game on the other side, the so-called rhinos. Meanwhile, the Democrats just go along with whatever the party leader says because they are that group. They are that collective socialist group that will sacrifice their own morals to fit in and to appease their leaders because at the end of the day, they need to get reelected more than anything. But it has been a shit show. The House Republicans frantically binge old Schoolhouse Rock episodes to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. I'm just a bill, Capitol Hill. Yeah. And really not a good look for them. An overnight vote, Buffalo guy elected Speaker of the House. Why not? Right? Why not? I mean, at this point, it's a shit show. Whatever. I think McCarthy got in, if I'm correct, Republican from California. Look, I'm not up here, man. I'm not up here talking about the things I talk because I'm a political science major or any of that shit. I talk this because I'm just a guy on the streets, man. I'm a fucking nobody who's trying to start a revolution. Okay? I'm that guy. I don't keep track of these people, man. I despise most of them. So here we go. California eggs. $7 a dozen. Why? Why California eggs are so expensive and increasingly hard to find. Now, I know what the bots are going to say, and it's true. There was a huge bird flu. That is a given. We can't deny those things. There's unprecedented outbreak of a highly God, I can't stand these words. But yeah, tens of millions of egg layers have died. But what this really speaks to is Prop 12, a 2018 animal welfare initiative that took effect last year. It's why we can't get bacon, because pigs have to have a little bit more room and chickens have to be cage-free. Cage-free, that literally just means they're locked in a barn. They're not locked in a cage. So they have a little room to walk around. It's my food. I don't care if carrots are grown in good dirt or bad dirt. I just want my carrots. It's the same thing with animals. Hey, up to a point, let's be as ethical as we can. But at the end of the day, all these chickens are going to die. So, I don't know how much we need to put into them having cages or not. But fine, that's fine. If they were all grown cage-free, fine. I don't care. If you want to let your chickens just free roam, that's fine. You're going to lose a lot of them to predators. It's for their own health. It's for their own good to some degree. But we don't have enough of cage-free eggs out there. It's only like 30% of eggs grown in America are cage-free. Most of them are not. So-called conventional eggs. But at the end of the day, who does this really hurt the most? Poor people. Colorado, he's part of a food bank. He says, we used to give out a flat of 2.5 dozen. Now, since we're low, each family are given 6 eggs. So instead of 30 eggs, you get 6 eggs. That scarcity is going to trickle into everything. It's going to seep into everything. Because remember, other people need eggs, not just people, not just citizens. You need the food producers. They need it. They need eggs. Restaurants need eggs. So the cost of everything's going to go up. And one of the reasons is because we got suckered in by, not me personally, but people got suckered in by animal rights groups to sign these things. The people who propose these animal welfare initiatives mostly don't eat meat and they don't eat eggs. So they don't give a fuck. But this is their strategy. We're going to make it too expensive. Meanwhile, Biden's sending millions of dollars, $500 million U.S. taxpayer dollars to the Palestinian Authority without verifying that the organization isn't funding terrorism, which is a law. Okay? The Taylor Force Act. You must certify that these people are not funding terrorism with them. And not directly using our money to fund terrorism, but taking our money, putting it into their budget, taking the money from their budget and sending that money to the terrorists. They're funding terrorists over there. That's what they do. Trump signed this into law in 2018. It was named for Taylor Force, a U.S. Army veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan who was murdered by Palestinian terrorists in 2016. Prohibits U.S. economic assistance that benefits the Palestinian Authority unless and until the Secretary of State certifies that the group has terminated funding of violent extremism. Sounds rational. Biden does it anyhow. Yeah, this is the best of the week. The attacks on Santos. Fine, maybe he lied, maybe he didn't. Don't really care. But he's a gay Republican. That looks real bad for the Democrats. So they are going to pounce. You know? And there's Warren, who once claimed to be an Indian. And then there's Joe with his son's laptop floating out there with all the incriminating evidence on it. You thought something was going to be revealed by Trump's tax returns? Wow. Hunter's laptop and his emails and memorandums. Wow. But anyhow, worry about that guy. He's a threat to your votes. Lego introduces first ever affordable Lego set. Yeah, Legos really have gotten expensive, you know. When they started with all the licensing, that's what does it, you know. That's one of them slippery slopes. Thank you for helping me save the planet. Yeah. That's for them electric cars, man. They use child labor over there. You know, that's the kind of thing that they need to keep hidden from everybody. Their plan involves using child slave labor. Oh, but it's not in our country. Still using it. You're still using it to make money, and you're promoting it. Yeah. The local man takes 15th annual before photo. Yeah. You know what? New Year's resolutions, I don't know. They seem doomed to failure. That's the cutest thing I've ever seen on the internet. I don't know if that's real or not, but that little slothy bear with the babies. Oh, look at that. That's so cute. The Twitter files, nothing else to see here. Marching orders going out to all of the mainstream media there. Yeah. Now, they are working hard. The FBI is primarily engaged in covering up the awful agendas. So we can see that they are throwing up smoke screens and covering for their agendas, you know, at great cost to the American people. And what are their agendas? I'm going to start in my home state, man, California. Okay, we have a governor, Gavin Newsom. His priorities are the presidency, reparations, and becoming a sanctuary state for child trans surgery, abortions, and illegal immigrants. Those are his priorities. We fly across the country, we land in fucking Washington, D.C. What is Biden and the Democrats' priorities? You war in Ukraine? January 6th, the insurrection, and ending fossil fuels. So how does that collide or, compete against our agenda? The people's agenda, as you might want to call it. The actual people, just lowercase p. There ain't no Stalinism over here. What are we looking for? Food and water? Housing? Fuel for our cars? To heat our homes? To cool our homes? Schools? To get back to actually educating? Lowering crime? Ending the homeless surge? These two agendas don't meet up. If this was one of them Venn diagrams, it would just be two circles. Neither my governor, who's a Democrat, or the Democrats in Washington, D.C., seem to have any concern with what we need. It's what they need. They need votes. They need power. They need prestige. They need money. But most importantly, they need votes. So they say and do what gets them votes. They don't care the costs. They don't dare speak up when things are going wrong. It's not until the cities are overflowing with migrants with nowhere to go and nothing to do, until these Democrat cities go, oh God, we need help now. But they don't ever look back at the policy that got them there, because it got them votes. They placated enough people to get elected. So everything else is fucking secondary. For me, the people's agenda would be the most important thing. But you know what? I'm not Joe Biden. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State. And so are you. Peace, y'all. Dollar bills.